but it's okay. No problem. The good thing is recording, and they will follow through. I wish they were all here. I hope they will join us along the way because this is critical. Uh, but I always love the fact that they're recordings, so we can always share. And I think I haven't shared the recordings for yesterday. I'll make sure I do that. All right. I want us to begin, and just to ensure that we are good. All right. So today is poetry, and we want to study. We want to ask ourselves what is critical as far as poetry is concerned, and what is important to be covered, what is relevant, because there is so much that we can do in poetry, as in even in the university there are those things we were doing in poetry, and I mean there's just so much, but you need to realize that it's not everything that is relevant for you, it's not everything that will be tested, and therefore I always encourage the students, when it comes to poetry, why don't you just focus on what will be tested? As much as there is the bit where you enjoy poems, you enjoy the poetry aspect of it, why don't you just take a moment and just after you finish enjoying and having a good time, just consider only the areas that will be tested. What will not be tested, you just leave it. Don't bother yourself, don't tire yourself with issues that you know you will not even be tested, will not even be brought in the exam. And so that has always been my principle, because I think most of the times we really make poetry very difficult for students, and we make them very tired, because we are really giving them unnecessary information they don't even need, such that by the end of the day they end up even hating the exam, they end up hating the subject, and the discussion about poems and so on. And again, sometimes it's not made easy by the fact that some some examiners, some poets can decide to write very funny poems that you don't even understand what they meant, you don't even understand what they were up to, you even wonder hii poem ilikuwa inamaanisha nini. But thank God there are also very good poems out there, they are also enjoyable, they're understandable, as in they make sense. When you look at them, when you read them, they kind of make sense to you. So it's not every other poem that is difficult. So as we handle this today, I want to encourage you to know that poetry is not difficult. I know there are some poems that are not okay, but it's not every poem that is difficult, that is not, that you will score poorly and so on. So I want us to begin off by saying, clarifying on what to expect in the exam as far as English paper 2 is concerned. And maybe let me just mention that those who are sitting for the exams this year, the candidates 2026, will be tested on poems. We'll do a poem in paper 2. That is question number 2. Sorry, question number 3. After you do the comprehension, you do the excerpt, then you do a poem, and then you do grammar. So in paper 2, you will be tested in on a poem. In the candidates 2027, those who will sit for the exams next year, you will not be tested in or you will not have a poem in paper 2, but you'll have oral narrative. You'll have oral narrative, and therefore it's important for you to go through the oral narrative. But while we are there, it's important, even for the candidates 2027, to be careful about the poems, because, like we said, in paper 1, there are questions on poetry, but mainly they are on oral skills. But remember, in the middle of the oral skills, there are questions that will be tested, and from that poem, and actually some of those questions can find their way even in paper 2. So that means everybody and all of us should make an effort to do poetry and to pay attention to it. But it's important to note that the students 2027, the candidates 2027, please know that you will not do a poem in paper 2. You'll do a poem probably in paper 1. Probably, I'm saying probably because it's never guaranteed that lazima iletwe ikuwa poem. But there's a high possibility because you know do a poem in paper 2, there's a high possibility watawaletea. And therefore the things we talked about in paper 1, the oral skills aspect of it, the sound patterns, the musicality, the how do you say this line, how do you perform this line, which words do you stress, and all that. That is in paper 1, and that is what the candidates 2027 need to know. But the candidates 2026, it is important for you to go a little bit deeper as far as poetry is concerned, because those questions will be tested in English paper 2. And so I was thinking, before we begin, just for the sake of it, I don't know how much we'll be able to cover in this lesson. I actually am not able to predict how much we'll be able to cover, but I wanted us for a moment, just for a moment, to go back to our WhatsApp group. Hey, I think I'm so tired. I'm running on every turn. Pole. Now, I would want us to go to the poem and look at the poems that we have in the WhatsApp group. And I wanted us. I'm not sharing them because it's a large document, but I've highlighted it in the main group. Yeah. So, like I mentioned, that I like when we interact in the main group also, especially when on issues that are not very sensitive. Because again, that is where some of them who are not able to pay are also able to find help once in a while, or those who are not able to join the program for whatever, hata wao wanasaidika tu kidogo here and there. And so that's why you see me keeping on insisting on chatting on the main wall, and like our small group, which is also has its own role to play. So I wanted us to have a look at those questions on the main group, and for a moment, just go through what questions do you expect as far as poetry is concerned. Because when you're able to demystify that, when you're able to, because for me, as far as revision of English is concerned, I like to approach it that way. When you're looking at the oral skills, what are the most probable questions to be asked? You know, the predictions, it comes to poetry, what questions should we expect? So what areas should we pay attention to? Because if we don't see those kind of questions in the past papers, then why are we covering that content? It's not necessary. Hakuna haja ya kujichokesha nayo because hata sijawahi sikia mtu ameulizwa hiyo swali. And so therefore it is important for you to familiarize yourself with the questions that are being tested, so that even as you revise, even as you go through, you do that knowing that this can be tested, this has been tested, and therefore this will be tested. And therefore it is important for me to go through them. So I want us to go into the WhatsApp group, and I hope all of us are there. There is that document I have just resent. The one for, oh, let me resend it. The poetry revision possible question. Allow me to resend it so that all of us can see it. And I would want somebody to volunteer to read for us the questions on poem 1. Just reading through the questions. You're not reading the poem. You are just going through the questions. So, and then another one, a volunteer to read the questions in question 2, poem 2, and another one, the questions only in question 3. I know this is not the right way to go about it, but there is a reason why I am taking it this way. So I don't know if there is anybody who is able to read for us. Mine is open. Are we able to access the document? Please let me know. Are we okay? Hope, James, and Stella, are you able to read and to access the document? Talk to me. Aya, kwani niko peke yangu huko? Oh, somebody's chatting. All right. Yeah. You want to, James, are you in a position to read for us the first poem? The questions only on the poem. The first poem is on if. The poem is called If. Monica, karibu sana. We are looking at poetry, and therefore we are going into the poems that are posted in the group, and we want to just read through the questions without answering any. The first 3 poems, just reading through the questions to tujiulize what questions are frequently asked as far as poetry is concerned. And because those questions should guide us on the extent of covering the poetry. So James, if you're able to read for us, start with the question number 1, they identify the persona of the poem. Okay, no problem, I understand. Anybody who is in a position to read? Stella, are you in a position? Hope? Monica, if you're not in a position, I can read for you. Let me know if you're in a position to read. I know sometimes our backgrounds sometimes cannot allow us to read. Otherwise, we will not understand anything. Anybody? Simuniongeleshe hata kama ni kwa chat.
Chicha, nitasoma ni sasa ndio nimeingia.
At least I know when Mwaura is there, we are sorted. Thank you, Mwaura. I always appreciate. Haya, tunasoma the questions only of poem 1. You can read for us actually poem 1 and poem 2 because we want to familiarize ourselves with the questions that are frequently asked in poetry. Please read for us. We'll appreciate that.
Okay. Funga mlango. Inajivuta kufungua. Inasumbua. Mwambie teacher. Teacher imekataa kufungua. Hey. But wacha nijaribu tu.
Oh, sorry. Kumbe nilikuwa nimemute na venye nimeongea. All right. So I want you to look at the poems and tell me which questions do you find very common in those poems, so that forms the basis of our content. Because remember, we may not cover everything today, but should function as a foundation. Anybody to tell us what questions do you find very common in those poems? Poem 1, 2, and 3. Is there a question unaona inarudiwa sana? I've shared just one.
Who is the persona?
Yeah, who is the persona in the poem? That's a very common question. What else do you see? Any other question you see? Thank you.
The mood, teacher.
There's a question on the mood. Very well. James, you're
Mm.
saying what is the poem about? It's okay, Stella. Karibu sana. About the persona. Thank you, James. Very good. Very, very good. Now, I am happy that you're able to see that. Now, I want you to note down the following questions. They may not be all. You realize that, give me a minute. All right. Let's go on. Now, I would want you to note down the following. Please note down the following as one of the things that we'll be dealing with as far as poetry is concerned. Number one, we will be asking ourselves, what is the poem about? Number one, please note that down. Every time when we'll be looking at the poem questions, we'll be interested in knowing, number one, what is the poem about? Okay. Number two, I hope we don't move very fast. Number two question that we'll need to answer is, who is the persona in the poem? Who is the persona in the poem? That's a very important question that you will need to answer. Who is the persona in the poem? Okay. Number three question that you will need to answer is, identify various stylistic devices. Identify various stylistic devices used in the poem. Identify various stylistic devices used in the poem. Are we together?
Yes.
Good. Identify various stylistic devices used in the poem. The other one that you can be asked on that is, identify or discuss. The word is discuss, not identify. Discuss the role, stroke significance, discuss the role, stroke significance of the styles used in the poem. Discuss the role, stroke significance of the poem, of the styles used in the poem. The other question, we'll discuss all that, even if not today. I'm just setting the pace, the plan for poetry. The other question is about the themes. Remember, there was a question about what is the poem about? That's a different question from themes. What are the themes in the poem? What are the themes identified in the poem? What themes are identified in the poem? Okay. The other question you could be asked is on the character and characterization. You can be asked to discuss the character. The character or characters in the poem. The character or the characters in the poem. Okay, I hope we are together. And just to mention, there are a few things that may not be captured. Okay, let me also mention about the other one. About the tone, discuss the tone, the attitude, and the mood in the poem. Discuss the tone, the attitude, and the tone, the attitude, and the mood used in the poem. That's a very important question. That's an area we'll need to look into. So you'll be asked, what is the tone in the poem? Discuss the tone used by the persona, or discuss the tone or the attitude of so-and-so, maybe a character in the poem. I want to, for a minute, to look at those questions for a minute before we begin going into each one of them one by one. Give me 1 minute. There's a question I'm looking for. This document can take 5 years to open. Maura, did your document open finally? Okay.
Yes.
Hata yangu imefunguka. There's a question I'm looking for. Give me 1 minute. Okay. Okay. Now there's this question about the some bit of grammar. You can be tested something on an element of grammar in it, where you can be brought a question and you're asked to discuss, change it into passive voice. You're told to add a question tag, rewrite the words in your own words, use whatever, there's some element of grammar that is there. So it is important for you to note that grammar is also tested a bit in poetry, just maybe like one question also. But the other one that is also tested is when you're told to give the meaning of the following words as used in the poem. You're told, like the way we are brought in the comprehension, you are told to give the meaning of following words. Hiyo swali ya mwisho, you realize that in poetry, we also have the same. Now, I want to stop at that and maybe give a disclaimer and say that that is the skeleton. That is the skeleton of the poetry questions. Now, but one of the things that you also need to note, if you look at those questions, I want you to have a look at them. You realize kuna zingine too, you can't place them. You can't say this question iko hivi because it doesn't, haina place where you can place it. They're like more of general questions. They can almost fall on many places as far as those subtopics are concerned. So you should be ready for any question that is outside what I have given you. So, but what I've given you, if you're able to answer the questions, if you're able to identify those things, the what is the poem about, and the themes, and the persona, the stylistic devices, and so on, if you're able to just answer that, your question of 20 marks you are good to go. Your 20 marks are good to go. Even if you don't get your 20 marks, at least you will get your 15 out of 20 marks. Now, I want to ask you, if you look at that, because it is important, which part of those things do you feel, hii swali hata nikiletewa saa hii, hata hizi maswali nikiangalia saa hii, they don't make sense to me. As in, this is an area where I am not comfortable with. I would want you to write just around 2 or 3 areas where you feel, as far as I'm concerned, mimi poetry hata sina shida nayo. Shida yangu kwa hii poetry yote ni this and this and this. If I'm helped on this and this, I think I'm good to go. I just want to hear where you are and what areas are a concern. I'll cover all of them. Not, of course, not today, but we'll cover each one of those areas. But I would want to hear from you, what area of that are you having a problem with and do you feel that needs to be addressed? Let me hear from you before we carry.
Hello.
Yes.
Mwalimu, let me be honest with you.
Yeah.
Haki mimi yote kabisa niko green. I just need help. Yeah, I just need help totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
No
I can't
problem.
say ati hii niko sawa ama hii nahitaji kusaidiwa. Generally, I need to be helped.
Okay.
From scratch.
I'm happy to know that.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
very hopeful.
Yes.
What about the others? Where are we?
For me, teacher,
Stella,
ni
yes.
hiyo question ya attitude, tone and mood. Huwa inakanganya kidogo.
Very good. Attitude, tone and mood. Na Stella, na wewe pia naona unasema the same. The attitude, tone and mood is a challenge for you. That's okay. What about Hope? You can type. Right. We are waiting for Hope, but ni sawa tu. Now let me begin by just 1 minute. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit distracted, but it's okay. Now, allow me to, for the sake of our notes and for the sake of continuity, I hear you on the issue of attitude, tone, and mood, but for the sake of our notes and making sure that we are systematic na hatutarudi nyuma. Remember we said kitu yenye tumekava hakuna kurudi nyuma. Mtu akitaka turudi nyuma anaenda kuangalia videos. So please let's begin by asking ourselves, when you ask the question, what is the poem about? What do you write about? Number 2, I want us to handle the question on what is the theme in the poem? What is the theme in the poem? When you ask those two questions, are they the same? How do you answer? Because many times, if you look at those questions, ziko around 4 marks, 3 marks. Rarely will you find 2 marks. Sana sana zinakuanga 3 marks, zinakuwa 4 marks. Okay, rarely do you get more than maybe 5 or something. Around 3 to 4 marks, and therefore that's a lot of marks. And therefore we shouldn't lose it. And so therefore, let's ask ourselves, ukiulizwa hiyo swali, what is the poem about? What are the themes in the poem? Or what is the predominant theme in the poem? What is expected of us? Please note that what the examiner is interested in hearing is your grasp of the poem. Do you understand the storyline? Do you understand the context? Do you understand what is this the poet had in mind? Remember, for anyone to pick a piece of paper and a pen and starts jotting down something, maybe in a song, in a book, in a play, in a poem, in anything, in a speech, or even a text message, kuna kitu iko kwa your mind. There is something you'd want your audience to listen to. There is something you want your audience to hear. And therefore, whatever it is that you had at the back of your mind, and you want the people who are reading your content, the people who are listening to you, the people who are watching you to hear, it is what we call the subject matter. It is what we call the theme, the main idea. What is this you wanted to communicate? We call that the theme. We call it the subject matter. The question is, when you ask that question, how do you go about it? How do you read this poem and you're able to hear what the poet is talking about? There are 2 ways of looking at that question. Number one, you can look at the surface, just the storyline. Just what events do we have? What experiences are described? What conversations do we see? What is this we can just see by just reading? Hatuendi deeply. We are just listening. We are just listening. We are just watching. We are just looking at what it is they are saying. And so you can go ahead and just tell us that. We call it the surface meaning. Iya juu tu, yenye unaona tu without really going very deep. And so we call it the surface meaning. And it is important for you to ensure that every time when you read a poem, at least you must understand the surface meaning. You must understand meaning ya juu, because if you don't understand the storyline, if you don't understand what the poet is trying to communicate, even the other one, you will not even be able to hack it. And so number one, okay, maybe before I go into how to answer that question, let me go into the issue of themes. A theme, when you asked what is the theme of the poem, we are not just interested in the storyline. We are not just interested in the message that the poet has put on black and white. We are asking ourselves, what message did he want to communicate? What is this he wanted us to hear? Apart from just what he's written, kuna kitu alikuwa anataka tusikie, ama ni message gani alikuwa anataka kuput across? Because like, for example, is one of the poems that I like very much called Atieno Yo. Atieno Yo is a girl. Atieno is a girl who I think she lost her parents or something, and therefore she lives with her uncle and her auntie. And we are told how she washes the dishes, how she does what, like child labor, she does a lot of household jobs, chores, and she does not even go to school. She envies her cousins when they are going to school. And finally, she becomes a bit sexually active. She's promiscuous and she gets pregnant. And finally, she dies, when she's getting the child, because she's still so young. And therefore she bleeds and dies at the point of giving birth. So when you're talking about what is the poem about, you can tell us about Otieno Yo, who is this age, who is doing this, the uncle, the auntie, that she's washing the dishes, she's cleaning the clothes, she's cooking. You can talk about all that. That is what the poem is about. But when you ask to discuss the themes, it is important for you to go a little bit deeper and talk about the things that you think triggered the writer of this song, that is the Atieno Yo, that they wanted to talk about child labor, wanted to talk about injustice, want to talk about the role of education, you know, like when a child is educated, when a child goes to school, they are protected from very many things. When a child is in the four walls of a school and there's a teacher standing in front of them, that child is protected from a lot of life issues that probably may cut short even their life and their dreams and all that. So as we talk about that, therefore, we talk about the role of education. We'll talk about injustice. We'll talk about exploitation. So I hope you're able to see that the theme is deeper than the poem is about. But nevertheless, if you're asked to discuss any of them, nobody will penalize you because of really not going very deep. Yeah, when you asked what is the poem about, and then you tell us about the themes, nobody will penalize you for that. But it's important for you to be careful. When you ask what the poem is about, you can just tell us the story. Tell us what the poem is about. Inasema nini. When you talk about the themes, look at the inner issues, messages that you think the poet needed to communicate. As I wind up on that, wacha niseme that question carries many marks, not one, not two. Sometimes it will carry 3, other times it will carry 4 marks. How do you ensure that you get 4 marks? How do you ensure that you get 4 marks? Number one, I always keep encouraging, look at it stanza by stanza. I'm hoping you're taking notes, because mimi sikuangi na notes by these Akupe students. Yes, sikuangi na notes, I don't use notes. So whatever I'm explaining to you, wewe ona tu venye uta capture the notes that you think are relevant for you. So, capture it, look at it stanza per stanza. In stanza 1, in paragraph 1, stanza 1, what was the poet trying to say? What is this message in stanza 1? You can scribble it with your pen, with a pencil on the side of your question paper. Scribble something. Atieno wakes up early. Atieno is 6 years old, blah, blah, blah. Note something about Atieno is being mistreated and denied something. Then go to the second stanza. What is this that is different from stanza 2 that it was not there in stanza 1? Because there must be something in stanza 2 that is different. Also, note that other part in stanza 2 that is different from stanza 1. Go to stanza 3 and also do the same. So what happens is when you're answering your question, when you're writing your answer, you will do a comprehensive answer. You will not say stanza 1 was meaning this and this, stanza 2 was meaning this and this, stanza 3 meant this and this. You don't say that, but you give one paragraph that carries heavy points, you know, it carries heavy marks, such that by the end of the day, instead of getting 2 marks or 1 mark, you can comfortably score your 3 also marks. Remember, some of these things can only be done through exercise and practice. When you do that, it becomes easier for you to function and for you to be able to see what it is that we are talking about. And so therefore, that question, what are the themes? What is the poem about? That is how you go about it. Now, are we clear? Is there a question as far as that is concerned? Any question? Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to hear. Very, very good. Fine. Remember, if something is not clear, feel free to ask. Please feel free to ask. Don't allow me to move on to the next item, kabla ni explain vizuri. Because remember, we are not coming back to this. No way. At no point will I come back to talk about this. Easy. Sasa nikiongea hiyo imeisha hivyo. Mtu akitaka cover, at least you can go back to the video. So usikubali tusonge to something else to kuacha nyuma. Very good. Now, question number 2. What did we say is question number 2? What is the most possible, the other question that you can be tested? Thank you. Thank you, Stella. What is the other question that you can be tested apart from what is the poem about and what is the theme of the poem? I'm trying to engage you. I know the questions, but I'm trying to engage you. Ndio isikuwe ni mimi tu naongea peke yangu. Unajua mimi naweza ongea for 3 hours. Na nisikumbuke ati mlifaa kusema kitu. Although nitawa engage kwa poem. What was the other question we were looking at? Guys, si tumeandika kwa kitabu.
Yes. Who is the persona in the poem?
Mm-hmm. Very good. Who is the
That was
persona in the
part 2
poem?
question.
Yeah. Now, may note, have you noted that there are so many, that question is very common. It's very common. Who is the persona in the poem? And for the sake of those who may not be remembering, and even for the sake of our covering the syllabus, when you asked the persona, who is the persona? Can somebody tell us? What do you think for those who may have an idea? Who is the persona in the poem? Anybody with a clue? Anybody with an idea? Who is
Yes,
the
I
persona?
can try.
Yes. Go ahead.
Someone else is talking?
No, it's you, Stella.
Okay. A persona is the voice in the poem.
Mm-hmm. Very good, Stella. It is the voice in the poem. Very good. Anybody else to explain more on that?
For me,
Yes.
persona is someone who speaks
Mhm. The person who
in the poem.
speaks. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good. The person who speaks in the poem. Very true. Those two answers are very good. Please note down your own personal notes and say that the persona in the poem is the speaker, stroke, the voice that speaks in the poem. The persona is the speaker in the poem, stroke, the voice in the poem. Very good question. We are asking ourselves, what does that mean? What does it even mean? Now, let me explain a little bit more. I hope
Mwalimu,
I'm sorry. Okay.
can
So we are
can
saying
we also say persona is the character?
character, not necessarily,
Ama hiyo ni
because a
tofauti?
poem can have many characters.
Mm.
No, it's not a character. I'll explain why it's not a
Okay.
character. Now, listen. When, for example, I have a poem, I have something I want to communicate, like that poem I was telling you about child labor, exploitation, the role of education. At the back of my mind, as Mrs. Nganga, there is something I want to communicate. When I look at my community, for example, when I look at my neighborhood, when I look at the children near me, I feel like this issue about education for the children, especially the girls or even the boys, I need to talk about it. I need to highlight the issue of that we need to excuse the children from taking up adult roles so that they can go to school and allow them to be children so that we, the adults, can do our work and allow the children to grow. Me as Mrs. Nganga, kuna venye nasikia tu, hiyo ni issue nataka kuongea juu yake. Okay? So it is me, Teacher Martha, who is doing that. But now, when I am writing that poem, I do not speak as me, the teacher. I don't speak as me, the mother to some children, or a wife or something. I will speak as somebody who is speaking about the issues going on. I may choose, instead of speaking as me, the teacher, I may decide to use a certain voice. I may decide to use a certain speaker, a certain person, and that's why James was talking about the character, a certain person to communicate my thoughts. Instead of me talking about me as a teacher, you know, that when in my profession, I see students being this and this, it is not okay for you parents to do this. So as a teacher, I'm not the one addressing the parents and telling them, kindly allow the children to go to school. It is not me speaking. So what do? I use a different voice. I use a different person. I use a different somebody to speak my mind. It is me, Teacher Martha, speaking, but instead of Teacher Martha speaking, I use a child, for example. In my poem, I therefore allow a child to talk about why education is important, to complain about the chores that she has been given, to complain how when she's watching the others prepare and go to school and she's left to clean and wash and do all those things. I use a child to say the things I would have wanted to say as Teacher Martha. So what am I doing? I am using the persona of the child. I am using the persona. I am using the voice of the child. I am allowing the child to be the speaker, not me. I hope I'm clear. So when you're talking about the persona in the poem, we get the point. You're talking about child exploitation. You're talking about gender-based violence. You're talking about corruption. You're talking about whatever. You're talking about health issues. But who is speaking? Who can we hear? Tunasikia sauti ya nani? Hatusikii sauti ya Teacher Martha, tunasikia sauti ya Awaka. Tunasikia sauti ya mzazi. Tunasikia sauti ya a policeman. Tunasikia sauti ya the citizens, you know. So the person who I have borrowed, let me use the word borrowed. The voice I have borrowed for me as the poet, for me to use to communicate is what we call the persona. I don't know, I'm hoping that makes a bit of sense to you. And therefore, sometimes, James, it may not necessarily, it is a character, it is true. It is a character, but it's not necessarily every character who is the persona, because we have the persona, but we also have, on top of the persona, we have many other characters that I will use to communicate my thoughts. So that means I don't have just one character. I don't just have the persona. I can have very many characters involved. Like that song, that poem of Tionoyo, we have the auntie, we have the uncle, we have the children who are characters in that poem. So what does that mean? That the persona is the child, for example, we're saying, but what are we saying? That we have the many other characters. So we cannot say it's a character. We say it is the voice that the poet uses to communicate. It is the speaker. It is the voice that we hear. It is the person who is speaking in the poem to communicate the things that the poet would want to communicate. I don't know whether that is clear. Now, as we answer that question, let me go to the answering of that question. When you asked who is the persona in the poem, many times you're not given 1 mark. You're given 2 marks. Rarely will you get 3. Most of the times you're given 2 marks. Why? Because they expect you to say it is a child, it is an educated somebody, it is a worker, it is it is a parent, it is they are employees, it is the citizens, it is the whatever, you know, who is speaking in this poem. It is a lover, it is a male lover, you know. When that you say it is a male lover, or it is a female lover, or it is a parent who is speaking to the children, now that earns you 1 mark. But you also need to explain, why do you say, yes, why do you say that is the persona? It's kind of, you need to explain why have you said that is a child who is speaking. There must be a line or 2 in the poem that makes you decide that the speaker or the persona is a child or a parent or whoever. You must be able to support your answer. Usiseme it is a child, alafu unaiachia hapo. You will not score a mark. Say it is a child speaking, and then give support. Why do you say it is a child? I hope we are clear up to that. Very good question. Very good concern, Stella. You're saying, can we do an example? I actually want to do an example, And I want us to go to poem one. Poem one, And I don't know whether we're able to read it together. I don't know whether anybody is able to read for us, but I want somebody to read for us poem one. And while we do that poem one, I want us to attempt those two questions. Number one, what is the poem about? You can also answer, what is the theme? I want to hear what the poem is about. Number two, what are the themes in that poem? Number three, who is the persona in that poem? Are you able to identify the persona in that poem? Maybe, let me, for the sake of, let me see if I can get that poem here, but it's only that the poem is, let me get one poem so that we can share it. I want us to look at that poem. Let me share it. Even if we don't do any more, and just be able to, that is the first poem. If you can look at it from your end and ask yourself, maybe, I don't know, Maura, you can read for us that poem? Or somebody
Yes.
else? Yeah, please read. You know, there's power in hearing it loud so that we
Yeah.
answer the question, what is the poem about? Number two, what are the themes in the poem? And again, who is the persona? Go ahead.
If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but can make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired of waiting, or be lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating. And yet, don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those who two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you have spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for foot, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up in worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn to pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you, except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can feel the unforgiving minute, with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that is in it. And when is more, you will be a man, my son.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a long poem, sort of. I hope it's not complicated as far as you're concerned. What is the poem about? Think about those two in the same breath. Who is speaking in this poem? Anaambia nani? Nani anaambiwa? So who could be speaking and why? And what is he saying? What message is he giving? You can either talk about what is he talking about or what are the themes in the poem. Let me hear from you. We will not go into the details. We'll look at another poem. Just try to answer those two questions. Let me hear what your thoughts are. You can chat or you can unmute.
Yeah.
Take a minute and have a look, but you can give your Anybody? Stella says it's a parent. Why a parent?
Madam, can I try?
Yes, you can. Remember we said saying a parent is good, but when you write just a parent, it will not give you an answer, it will not give you a mark. You must explain a parent because blah, 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 blah. It's true, it's a parent, but why do you say it's a parent?
There's the last words, but kwa screen haionyeshi vizuri. Iko imezibwa. The last words. Yeah, the last word. Yenye inasema and which is more you'll be a man, my son.
Yeah. There is the element of and which is more, you will be a man, my son. So Ebu, nataka mtu atufresie. How do you answer that question? For example, who is the persona? What do you say? How do you explain it so that you can get 2 marks? And I think there's that question, eh? That question carries 2 marks.
Let me try.
Yes.
The persona in the poem is the speaker. Is actually addressing his son or giving him the advice on how to be like, to live like a man. That is,
yeah. Very good. I like that. And that also, how do you phrase it? You're saying the persona in the poem is a parent, and especially now, maybe I need to ask, do you think this is a man or a woman? Do you think it's a male or a female parent? Do you think it's a mom or a dad? Stella has said very well, it's a parent. Do you think it's a female parent or a male parent, and why?
Madam, can you scroll the tuone the other side ya poem? Maybe tutafuta.
Sorry?
Inasema maybe you scroll the poem kuja downwards tuone.
Kule juu?
Yeah.
Wacha ni reduce so that you can zoom from your end.
according to me,
Yeah.
the parent is a he.
Why? Ama ni venye tu inakaa kama ni dad.
Vile anamuongelesha anakaa ni dad.
Yeah. I hope my background noise is not too much for you. Stella, I like your answer, Stella. Sounds like a dad because he's giving life experiences. It is very true. There's nothing in the poem to determine whether it's a man or a male or a female, but from what we know, that sounds like a man talking to another man, you know. And you can see actually the issues he's raising are more on what to become. They are more manly. If, for example, it's a lady speaking to the son, maybe the discussion could be slightly different on maybe how to treat the woman, how to treat the wife, how to treat the future, whatever. You know, there is a way, a discussion from a woman, a mother to a son is very different. Even the message could be the same, but how the message is delivered is slightly different. Yeah, because so therefore, when you look at this poem, I think it's more of a man. So you can say it is a male parent or a dad or a father who is, James, you said something. What did you say?
Okay, I was saying,
yeah,
he's a he, yani,
yes.
He's a dad trying to advise his son on how to live like a man.
All right. Now, let me correct something there, and I wanted to raise that. When you say it's a dad who is trying to correct the son on how to live, we are not answering the question very well on the persona. The question is, who is the persona? So we are saying the persona is a father. It's a dad. Why a dad? Why not a mom? Why not a brother? So you will need to go straight to that point. Hiyo ya mwisho. That and which is more, you will be a man, my son. So you need to quote that line that the persona is addressing. I mean, the poet or whoever is addressing him as a son, and therefore, what we are doing at this point, we are supporting. Why are we saying it is a man? It is a dad. So we need to go. Don't talk about what he's telling the son, because you're answering a different question. You need to go straight to the point of why is it a man? Why is it a father? Because he said, and which you is more, you will be a man, my son. So that point, when you explain that by using that line, either you can copy the line again and explain kidogo that the fact that he calls him my son, that means it is a man. I hope you're getting the point. So in this question, you're not telling us what he was talking to the son. You're actually explaining why are you saying it is a man and not a woman? Why not a teacher? Why a father? You know? And so in your answer, you need to support it and say the persona is a man because he addresses him as my son. And so that answers the question. I hope it is clear on that. We will go into the next poem and also see who is the persona before we finish up, because I would want us to be sure that tukiangalia poems, hiyo swali ya persona and what the poem is about, we are good to go. Can we then also handle the other one of who is what is the poem about? And I think that gives you, let's say it gives you 3 marks. I would try to give your answer, and maybe, I don't know whether you can write it there so that we see what you've written. Remember we said you look stanza by stanza. And this is where we said, if you look at stanza 1, there are things included in stanza 1 and they're not in stanza 2. There are things in stanza 2 and they're not in stanza 3. So when you're giving your answer, you must be able to tell us what is the poem about? What themes are being covered here? You must be very careful. And especially inakaa ni kama a whole speech. So I would want you to take a minute and imagine that you need to get 3 marks. Tuandikie tu hapo, a complete answer. Because I think where the students are going wrong is coming up with solid answers that can earn them marks. Uko na point, uko na idea, unajua ni nini anamwambia, but how do you phrase it? How do you put it down? That is what I want to see. Kindly take a minute na uniandikie hapo. Go through the poem again, and you can probably just note stanza 1, what is he talking about? Stanza 2, what is he talking about? Now combine all those 2 points and come up with 1 paragraph, and that 1 paragraph ensure that it can earn you 3 marks. To earn you 3 marks, it means you have talked about 3 different points. You have raised 3 points. Am I communicating?
Yes, madam, but the first answer haionekani.
There you go. You can zoom from your end. I think that's okay. Let's go. I really am hoping that you can scribble something. Please write something so that we can correct you as we move on to the next one. And typing, don't be shy. Even if the answer is wrong, that's why we are here to learn. So we andika too, don't worry. Whatever you come up with, we'll correct it together. So I hope to see answers for everybody. Everybody here, I hope to see your answer. Hata kama hauko sure, andika too. I'm waiting.
I have typed mine.
Yeah, I've seen it. I'll respond to it in a minute. Thank you. Domi, this is a very good trial. Very good. But this may not give you 3 marks. Yeah, summarize sana. Summarize sana. Try to split it a bit, Domi. This is actually, it's risky because this may actually give you just 1 mark. Because it's too general. Let's see what James is saying. But it's a good try. But this one will itakusumbua. You have the point, but you need to be a little bit specific. Remember, that's we talked about stanza per stanza. James, you're saying it's about the tragic accident with the personas brought, was involved in the personas described by the scenes. Where? James, we are in the same poem. Hapana, James, wewe uko kwa poem ingine. Uko kwa poem gani? Ebu, help me understand why you've talked about the accident. The second one, no, tuko kwa first one. We are in the first one. Hii yenye iko kwa screen, yeah, if. The first one, eh? Try the first one. Let's give it a try, please. Don't be discouraged. Andika tu, hata kama uko sure. Stella, hope you're writing. Wendo, hope. Monica, write something. Kama hope ameenda. Wendo, please write something. Thank you, James. James, this is also a good trial. Very good trial. Yeah, you've captured it well. But like I've told Maura, hata hii yako can only score you like 1 mark. It's too general. It's too general. It can't get you 3 marks. I want to hear details. Remember, you get 3 marks because of giving three separate points. 3 points. So nika paragraph karefu kiasi. And like you're taking every point. Kama hiyo live with integrity, you explain it a bit. You can even pick a line that you're using on that. On patience, that's a different story altogether. On resilience, patience and resilience could be the same. So is there another aspect of life that he has talked about? I mean, how to face the challenges in life. Kuna kitu ingine ameongea juu yake. So that every point unai explain. James, do you understand?
Yes, nimekupata.
This is a good point, but it will only give you 1 mark. Umeisummarize sana. Thank you. Aya, wengine tujaribu, please. Give it a try. Give it a try. Even if you're not sure what you're writing, andika tu. Yes, we are waiting. Thank you, Wendell. Let me look at it in a minute. Thank you. Thank you very much. This is very nice. Thank you, Stella. Thank you, Maura. Thank you, Wendell. Very good. Very good. Maybe we can look at the answers you've given. Najua hii iko a bit engaging, but it's the nature of what needs to be covered. Yeah. We had commented about you, James, so we'll not go back to that. So Wendell is saying the poem is about a parent advising the son on how to survive the world, maybe comma, on how to be kind even when others are not. And she quotes, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs, blaming it on you. That's a very good one. It's also about the parent advising the son on dreaming but not making it his master, and how to deal with triumph and disaster. Wendell, you had started very well on that point on how to survive the world, on how to be kind and even when others are not. That point, how to be kind even when others are not, that's a very good point. And especially the fact that you're giving an illustration of sorts. But hii ya mwisho umeikimbiza sana. It is about the parent advising the son on dreaming but not making it his master, and how to deal with triumph and disaster. Umeikimbiza. I wish unge-explain kidogo tu, just some little more explanation, so that it can also give you two separate points, two separate marks. But it's a very good trial. It's a very good trial. This one you could comfortably get 2 out of 3. Very good trial. Stella, you're saying the poem is about a parent giving advice to his son. He explains to him so many things that he should be aware of as he navigates life, like self-respect, being ambitious and not lose focus just because people don't believe in him. Have resilience if you can lose anything and start up again. Stella, this is a better summary as compared to the other ones we had seen earlier. This is okay. This is good. At least I see an attempt to capture as many things as possible. But your sentence, Mesa, he explains on so many things that may not you can say he not explains. Maybe his advice is on many aspects of life. For example, like self-respect, and like I told Wendo, I wish you could also just explain kidogo, because again, this could also maybe give you 2 marks, because you have tried to raise different points, but how do you explain vizuri? I'm looking for some bit of explanation. At what point does he say this? Why would you say? Because you don't have to write everything that he says, but the points that you write, let them be supported. Let them be supported. But it's a good trial. You would get 2 out of it. Because it's the reason you're not getting 3 is because ume summarize too much, just like I told James and Maura. All right, Domi, you're saying the poem is about a father who advises his son and wishes that the son could believe in himself when others doubt him. That is very good. I like that sentence. That is a whole mark. The father wishes that the son could be patient enough without giving up. Very good. The father also advises the son to never discuss any of his losses. Domi, now this is where you get your 3 marks. This is very good. I like that. Yeah, because you see how you are putting it. You are putting them like 3 points, It's like they're coming out clearly. I hope, Stella, you see what I was talking about. Yeah. You're also doing the same. It's only that now, Stella, you're doing the same thing that Maura is doing. It's only that yours is then it's 1 point put together. But you see, Nani has gone ahead to kind of break it kidogo, even if not looking like it's a paragraph, break it a little bit. Yeah, so I think I like that. I like that. You know how encouraging it is to see you understanding the things we are talking about, trying, failing, trying again, and failing. I think for me, this is very, very encouraging. And I'm happy. I'm very proud. Tap. Yeah, so I was thinking we have 20 minutes. Can we look at that second poem, the one that James had already gone ahead? Yeah, maybe. And if you have a question, feel free to ask. Monica, I am hoping that I know you could be a little bit held up, which is understandable. And I hope left. Sawa, no problem. Sawa, so can we just, the few minutes remaining, tuangalie the second poem, tujiuliza who is the persona and what is the poem about. I think tukikava hiyo, we are good to go, because this week we'll also have another lesson. Remember last week we sacrificed hours to biology. I want to claim back that biology. So we will have another lesson. So in the next lesson, we will look at that other question on stylistic devices. I know we need to go to the tone, attitude, and mood. Nataka hiyo ikaekae kidogo. Yeah, I would want us to look at the stylistic devices, because that is also a very major issue. But that one I will share the notes. I will share notes on the same. But I wanted us today to make sure at least you may understand the general overview of poetry, and also talk about what the poem is about and the persona. So maybe we can look at the second poem. Let me screenshot that for you. It's all right, Stella. Thank you for showing up. All the best. You'll follow the video. Sawa. All right. Let's guys very quickly. We have a few minutes tuangalie hiyo. And maybe this one we can make it very fast. We can even unmute and say who is the persona. Anybody wants to read for us? Nani anaweza tusomea? Wendo, you can read for us?
I sat all morning in the college sick bay,
Start
counting
with
bells.
the
With the
title of the poem.
the midterm break, I sat all morning in the college sick bay, counting bells, kneeling classes to a close. At 2 o'clock, our neighbors drove me home. In the porch, I met my father crying. He had always taken funerals in his stride, and Big Jim Evans saying it was a hard blow. The baby cooed and laughed and rocked the pram when I came in, and I was embarrassed by old men standing up to shake my hand and tell me they were sorry for my troubles. Whisper informed strangers I was the eldest. Away at school as my mother held my hand in hers and coughed out angry tearless sighs. At 10 o'clock the ambulance arrived with the corpse stanched and bandaged by the nurses. Next morning I went up into the room. Snowdrops and candles soothed the bedside. I saw him, for the first time in 6 weeks, paler now, wearing a poppy bruise on his left temple. He lay in the 4-foot box as in his coat. No gaudy skies, the bumper knocked him clear. A 4-foot box, a foot for every year.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's another poem which is very sad. Very quickly. Are we able to identify the persona very quickly? And are we also able to identify the poem? What is the poem about? Let's begin with the persona. Ndio inakuanga rahisi. Who is speaking in this poem? Whose voice can we hear? Somebody just to make a guess or give your contribution. Who is speaking?
I would say it's a student
It
because
is a student. Yes.
the student is saying, I sat all morning in the college sick bay.
I sat all morning in the college sick bay, counting bells, kneeling classes to a close. At 2 o'clock, our neighbors drove me home. In the porch, I met my father crying. He had always taken funerals in his stride, and Big Jim Evans saying it was a hard blow. The baby cooed and laughed and rocked the pram. When I came in, I was embarrassed by old men standing up to shake my hand and tell me they were very sorry for my troubles. Whispers informed strangers that I was the eldest. Away at school, as my mother held my hand in hers and coughed out angry, tearless sighs. At 10 o'clock, the ambulance arrived with the corpse starched and bandaged by the nurses. Now, Domi, I'm looking for something that clearly shows that this is a student. Remember, the college bay may necessarily not mean that it is a student. Because remember, he's saying that he sat still. He sat all morning in the college bay, sick bay, counting bells, kneeling classes to a close. Could it be that he's not the one who is a student? Is it possible? What do the others think? Do you think he's the one who is a student? And what else? Is there another reason why you think he's the student? And maybe just to ask, ni nani amekufa hapa? Because
Can I
inaonekana kuna
try?
mtu. Yes.
Another reason, maybe the fourth stanza, last line, away at school as my mother held my hand.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking for that. It's the fourth. Mm-hmm. And tell me they were sorry for my troubles. Whispers informed strangers I was the eldest. Away at school as my mother held my hand. Yes, I think now that's a better one. Yeah, Domi, I think when you're looking for something to support that the persona is a student, we are saying that he is the eldest and he's been away from school. He's been away at school, maybe ako boarding or something. Ndio ni kama amerudi sasa out of the tragedy that has happened. So therefore, at that point, you can support it and say that this is a student, and explain that the poet says that he was been away at school, and you quote that line, that to show that actually there's a possibility that he's been in school. It's just I'm calling it a possibility for now, but it's very possible for that storyline to change. Well, let me hear. What is there anybody else with a different opinion? And where we are at it? Ni nini tunaongea juu ya hii poem? What's going on here? What is the poem about? What are the themes in the poem? What themes do you see in this poem? Let me hear what your thoughts are. Anybody? What is happening here? Who has died?
Nilikuwa nimejibu hapo juu.
Yes, yes. Oh, yes. In fact, I've just remembered that you had given us a summary. What is
Kindly check. Persona's brother. Elder
you had
brother.
seen that something. Let's see. Let's see. Aha. You had said it is about the tragic accident which the people's brought was involved. The personas which the personas brought was involved in. The persona describes all the scenes of the accident and the aftermath. The dad reacts with so.
Persona's brother.
Oh, persona's brother describes all the scenes of the accident and the aftermath. The dad reacts by so much about the accident by seeing how the car is damaged. That's a good trial. That's a good trial. I'm trying to look at that last stanza. Wearing a poppy bruise on the left temple, he lay in the 4-foot box as his cot. No gaudy scars, the bumper knocked him clear. A 4-foot box, a foot for every ear. So, mwenye amekufa ni older ama younger? It's a brother, but is it older or younger, and why? Hii itabidi mfikirie watu.
He is
This
the
one,
youngest, mwenye amekufa, because the one who has just come in, he's saying that they are whispering that he's the eldest.
Very good. That's a very good point. That they say they are whispering that he's the eldest. And so even as he's been away from school, but he's the eldest. Very good. Why else? What else would we use to help us detect the age of the deceased? Let's move quickly, please.
I think he's very young because he has been put in a box, a 4-foot box, a 4-foot for every year.
Meaning?
He's 4 years old.
Very good. Very good. I like that. And this is the essence of poetry, yeah? That you need, for you to hack poetry, you need to, when unasoma poem, unaelewa to details, and that's why I said that you need to look at it stanza per stanza. Unajiuliza stanza 1 inamaanisha nini? Stanza 2, stanza 3. What is this in stanza 4 that is different from stanza 3? Unajiuliza hivyo. Because when you do that is when you will note some of those nitty-gritties, eh? And no goddess cars, the bumper knocked him clear. A 4-foot box, a foot for every year. Okay? So alitoshea kwa 4 feet, 4 foot. Hata nashangaa. Adults tunashoshianga wapi? 6. Ama nini inaitwa 6 feet under? Oh, it's under. But I think the box should also be nini. The coffin is also big. So, but aka, it's 4 feet box, a foot for every year. So that means this child is 4 years old. Now, unaona, he was knocked by a bumper. It is 6 feet. Sawa. The bumper knocked him clear. So that means it was an accident. Like James had said, it was an accident, and the young man found him. He found himself dead out of that. Very good. There's that paragraph there. The next morning, I went up to the room. Snowdrops and candles soothed the bed. I saw him for the first time in 6 weeks. He's paler now. This is what is this? That this boy, when he got involved in an accident, you can see he was even taken with an ambulance. The stanza that is up there, I hope you're following. In hers and coughed out angry tearless sighs. At 10 o'clock, the ambulance arrived with the corpse starched and bandaged by the nurses. So you realize that that means he was hit and had to go to the hospital and stayed there for some time. He stayed there for some time, as much as not much. It's a recount of what happened. The persona is explaining, talking about the loss of his brother and what went down with the parent, what went down with the people who are watching them and who are following them. I hope that is clear for us. That as you answer that question, who is the persona in the poem, you'll be able to very easily and comfortably pick who the persona is. And remember, there's something we call an observer. There is something we call an observer. I would want you to note that so many poems have observers as the persona. What do? They actually report. Wao ni kuangalia na kusema. And like, there are cases where the persona is the person involved, participant. Could be I, anatumia I, me, whatever. Ama anatumia he, she, or something. But there is another one, there's another one where huyu mtu hata hayuko karibu, kazi yake ni ya ku report aliona nini, akasikia nini, alafu nani akafanya nini. We call them the observers. So when you go, it's important for you to follow through, even when you're following up with your notes. Just follow through and see, is this an observer? Is this a first person? And so on. Yeah, so I think that is my encouragement to you, that as you read through every poem, make sure that you identify the persona, make sure that you can tell what the poem is about. If the question has got 3 marks, ask yourself, the answer I have given, can it give me 3 marks? Is it sufficient for 3 marks? Kama unaona kama haiko sufficient, try and work on it and make it better. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we'll stop it at that. So that we can comfortably say we have covered the persona and the subject matter of the poem. And when we meet next in this week, I'll tell you when we'll look at the stylistic devices. And we'll look at the 2 poems, by the way. So maybe as part of the assignment, could you look at the stylistic devices in those 2 poems? What stylistic devices are we talking about? We are talking about the sound patterns. Remember the sound patterns we did in paper 1? We are talking about other stylistic devices now. On the sound patterns, we talked about alliteration, assonance, consonance, and so on. So we're talking about sound patterns. I mean, repetition, rhyme, irony, imagery, that is metaphors and similes. We are talking about rhetorical questions. We're talking about contrast. We are talking about satire. We are saying about all those things. So in the next lesson, those are the things we'll cover. When you ask that question about the stylistic devices, because it will always come, you'll always have that question. How do you answer it? How do you answer it? So I think I will stop it at that, unless somebody has got something to say. To say me good night. Anybody, any feedback? What do you think? James, now, do you feel like we are better off? Do you feel like I left when you're not so okay at all? Where are you now? Where are you now? I would want to hear. Is there an area that you think we haven't covered so well and we need to emphasize later on? Okay, seems like James is not able to respond. Maura, Monica, umenyamaza sana. Are you okay?
Mimi mwalimu, nasikia vizuri, niko poa.
Uko poa. Tunasikia vizuri.
Nasikia
I
ni
am
kama
happy.
kitu tumeanza.
I am happy. I am happy. I like it when you understand. Imagine it's not hard. English, you can pass very easily, by the way. You can pass, but the catch ni kufanya exercises. Haikuangi ngumu. Haikuangi ngumu. And then in the exam, just an encouragement. In the exam, rarely do they bring very difficult poems. Because remember, they take care of all the children in this country, including the Northeastern, wenye hawana choo, wenye Gachagua anapigania. Hata wao wenye hawana walimu wa TSC, they must make sure the exam favors wale watoto wako Kwale na Lamu na huko ndani huko kwenye it's always having issues. So really will they bring a very difficult poem? Yeah. So yes, James, you'll be like akina Mwaura and Stella. Yes, you will be. Na uko sawa, James? Uko sawa? Hauko ati mbali sana? Well, Mwaura ako mbele kidogo, but even the rest of us, we are also pulling our weight so much. And it's always a joy to be in class with you people, because the interest is there. And as a teacher, you feel very encouraged. So let's try to do, I have not forgotten, we have a paper to revise, the oral skills. Remember, we have an exam coming up. I was waiting for our students to finish the exams tomorrow, ndio niweze kuwapea hizo papers comfortably. Sitaki kuambiwa nimeleak exam. So ilibidi nigoje wamalize kesho, so that then I can prepare the papers. Nataka nikaweka naweka ya English form 3 na form 4, Kiswahili form 3 and form 4, Mathematics form 3 and form 4. Ndio ukifanya unazifanya hivyo, unafanya ukitoka hapo. Yeah, so I'm sure by end of day tomorrow nitakuwa nimezipanga. So kazi ni mingi, tujikaze, find time in the course of the day, sneak in and do something in the morning, wake up earlier than 6, soma kidogo kabla tuanzie class yetu ya 6, you know. Just let's do this. Sawa sawa. So have a good night. Tomorrow we up for another lesson. I'm not very sure what we are doing tomorrow morning. But
Madam,
tunayo, yeah? Yeah.
nilikuwa na swali kidogo kuhusu
Go ahead.
hizo set, about the set books. Tunamaliza mambo yetu ndio tuanze na set book.
Yes, actually, we remember we said oral skills, paper 1, the only way we are going to do it, because it's so broad, sitaweza kuwapitishia every point like it's a lesson, eh? I will not be able to do that. But what we will do, we'll keep revising those papers. As we revise them, the oral skills, tutakuwa sawa. We'll keep noting those things and writing the notes down. So oral skills tutaikava hivyo. The other area that we need to cover is the poetry. That's why nataka tumalizane na poetry. Sijui niseme ya nani. Yeah, Monica, let me mute you for now so that I can finish explaining. So what I intend to do, tukimalizana na hii poetry, because remember in paper 2 we have comprehensions, we have excerpts, we have a poem, and we have grammar. So in paper 2 we have the excerpts. Na ningetaka in the next round we are dealing with set books, eh? Yeah, so between now and set books tutakuwa tumemalizana na mambo ya poetry na tumechapa nini, what do you call it, oral skills kiasi, 1 or 2 papers, and then remember even functional writings form 3 and 4 hatuku cover and so on, eh? So we still have some way to go, but I think now we agreed, muniambie, when are we ready, when are we done, because we can't start doing excerpts kama hatujasoma the Fathers and the Samaritan. So tumesoma because the current from the 2026 class mnafanya excerpt ya Fathers, eh? So lazima kila mtu akuwe amesoma Fathers. Hata hao wengine wenye wanafanya Samaritan akina James, make sure umesoma Fathers, because we will, hata wewe utafanya excerpt ya Fathers tu tukirevise mkiwa na hope. Mtasoma tu hata kama mtafanya yenu ya Samaritan, you will gain the experience. So I think each one of us must have read the Fathers. Monica, umefikisha happy Father?
Fathers niko almost kumaliza, but tutamalizia tu within the week.
Sawa.
Samaritan ndio nimemaliza, nilikuwa nimemaliza the Samaritan. But sasa tumesema ndio inakuja
So Fathers is more urgent. Fathers is more urgent because I do not want to begin the essays before I finish. I deal with the excerpts. Yeah, essays itakuja sometime in April ndio tutaanza kufanya essays. Yeah, nataka between now February and March tujaribu cover the other areas, because essays are intense. Ndio tufanye essays tukiwa hatuna hangover ya hizi zingine. So for the next 2 months, wacha tufanye tu the other papers, tuanzie essays in April, God willing, so that tunaipe all the time without feeling like we need to break and do something else. Even if we break, tuna break ndio to relax, si ati ni pressure ya kurudia huko. Yeah, so tusome Fathers kwanza. Then hiyo ingine ya essays, but you make sure by April pia mtu amesoma ya the Samaritan. Sawa. All right, can we say good night? Monica, sasa.
Yeah, hizo short stories pia. The short stories.
How are they taking you?
Nang'ang'ana tu nazo. Vitabu ndio nyingi, ndio ni mchache. Sasa tunang'ang'ana hivyo.
Read the short stories also. Read the Parliament of Owls. It's also important for you to have a variety. Read them both. Artist of the Floating World, wachana nayo. But Parliament na Silent, wacha tusome hizo. Both of them, if you have time. If you don't have the time, unachagua moja. But ukisoma zote mbili, you have an added advantage. But it's really up to you. I know our schedules are so different. So wewe utaona ni gani na kufanyia kazi. All right? Stella, najua pengine hata huko karibu, but we'll talk later. Sawa sawa. Good night, people. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Good night.